Tenet the first, do not fire a bullet until the final section. Tenet the second, do not fire an arrow that you cannot afterwards collect. Tenet the third, pick up everything. Hello there, this is Big Benedict. We're playing The Last of Us on grounded difficulty. This is the Left Behind DLC, and as I mentioned before, I had those tenets that I wanted to address, and I did in the last video, but I wanted to reiterate them for the sake of doing so in this video, and also to make sure that nobody missed them. Nobody who missed them in the last video misses them this time. So this is the first section, and you pick up the bow. Now the reason I shot that bow is because I got my arrow back. The bow is the strongest weapon you'll have in this game. Is it is it stronger than the shotgun? Is it stronger than the rifle or the pistol? Yeah, it is, because a body shot with a handgun takes 2. A body shot with the bow takes 1, and it doesn't matter. Now, I'm not talking about headshots, even though the head is part of the body. I'm talking about chest shots below, or a back shot, anything. The bow is silent, it's swift, it's steady, and it's a one-hit kill for enemies, so do not waste it. So in this room here, I wanted to take a note of what is in here. We will have 1/4 of a sugar by the cash register, and that is it, as well as the health pickups. Also, this is a no damage run in a lot of these scenarios too, including the final fight. And if you weren't here for the last video, I would admonish you and tell you to watch it, because it was a good video and it's helping people, and that's the main thing I want to put forward here. I would consider myself a helper of people only because I need help at times. So what I like to do is abrogate the gulf between needing help and dispensing it. So this room here, the results of a room like this are going to vary wildly, and essentially it's the runners and the clickers versus the humans, and the outcome, as I mentioned, is uncertain. Which outcome is more desirable? I would say an outcome where there's fewest enemies left. Other than that, the clickers are, their intelligence level is a lot, how do I say it? They've just got different AI. The humans are a lot more aggressive. They can see, so if they're in their line of sight, the clickers just kind of claw at you and go from the source of the noise. But I would just keep resetting this until you get a good result. Now, I don't think the results are indicative of, yeah, sometimes they'll come up here. The guy was he was running from the clickers and then he saw me, so if that happens, just back off. And unfortunately, he got killed over here, or he got scared and then ran off. But you're completely safe here. I've never been in a stalemate where it's been like one enemy up here, some down there, or any combination of that. They've always backed off. So if you've been in a stalemate, yeah, this is so beautiful when that happens. So ideally, it's basically, if I were you, I would want infected left, not the humans, just because they have a tendency to group up on you, to divide, to divide and ambush you with pincer attacks. So in a situation like this, using the gun is out of the question, because we need the rounds for the final fight. So we're going to do some stabbing, and just now, obviously, we're going to use the bow, or we're going to find another brick, because if we get a brick, we can take care of them. Or what I'll do is I just use the bow, and if it breaks, even though it kills the enemy, if it breaks, I reset, because that last arrow could help me in the final fight coming, which, as I mentioned before, it took me 4 hours in total, and I did have to restart the campaign over again because I thought and I was correct in thinking that I missed some items, and I had. So we'll take him down. It has to be a headshot though with this. And I think what I'm doing is trying to bait him over here so that I can throw a bottle at him, and then when he's staggering around, take him down. So there's just a couple more fights, and as you can see, these encounters they're very easy to control because the factions are going to go after one another, and it's quite unfair actually in the last fight too, because you're supposed to kill 2 waves of enemies, and even after you do, clickers and runners come onto the scene, and it's supposed to be to where they're fighting with like the remaining enemies of wave 2, but it's not really like that, because if anybody sees you, you know, they're going to prioritize you even though they're in a war amongst themselves. So in this particular room, what we have is a quarter of an alcohol, and it is over here, right over here. And there's also a few things coming up in the next room, which is a tricky room, and I have some notations that will be appearing on screen because I wanted to make sure that I was reminded while I was talking of a few certain variables and such. So don't forget that. That is a where is that one? Part 3. We're on part 3. What is that? That was sugar, and that is alcohol. That was excuse me. We got the first alcohol, we got the sugar, and then we got on that sill out there we got the alcohol and a rag. So when you come over here, you have a choice here. You don't have to kill anybody, but I like to kill a couple people. I think I kill all 3 in this room, and then I leave the clicker outside. I don't think the runners have much chance against humans. I think the clickers do the most damage to them. But this is a room where no enemies will ever come into this room or to the room beyond this room. Everything to the left, they stay out there. Like even if they're tracking you, they never come in here. So what you can do is, if you want to, you can bait all of the both runners and both clickers out there. Just throw a brick, and then everybody will start going to war, and you can just sit back. And you see that locker right there? I didn't get the contents of it on screen, and I believe there is something in there. So do not forget to get that locker. Normally my outcome over here is 2 humans left. The humans seem pretty resilient in this fight. But what I'm going to do is try to do a body shot on this guy, take him out. But if later, even after the fight's done, do I get this on camera? Oh, I do get it on camera. Okay. Yeah. That is a rag. Strangely, there's no binding, no tape on this campaign. I guess that was only needed to craft the stronger melee weapons on the other campaign. So if you just have 2 enemies here left, it'll be okay, because you can just go around waiting for an opening, throwing the bottles around, doing all the stuff that makes you a survivor. So at this point, what you're going to have to do after this is make a decision about what you want to craft. You can craft a smoke bomb if you like, but I really found no point to use those. But I did find that the Molotov cocktails are very good for clearing up some of the first wave, and a couple of incidental parties in wave 2, and the nail bomb is basically, if you watch my Dead Space 2 guide where I was using the detonator and using mines to anticipate where I knew enemies were coming, I saw the cutscene one time with the garage flipping open in between waves 1 and 2, and I thought to myself, instantly, nail bomb. I could put a nail bomb there, and then as soon as that garage opens, all of the enemies who come out hopefully get slaughtered. And the numbers that you subtract from wave 2 are great. It's about 3 or 4. What you can also do, my other thinking was, you know, since I'm losing so much to this fight, there's a particular place that I stand at the end, and I thought to myself, well, I'll just put a nail bomb on one side so that anybody who comes on my right or my left, you know, will get killed with the nail bomb. But I think it's about numbers instead of just having one guy get killed. Okay, so there's the sugar. You saw where I got the locker contents there, and let's just see what we get. I think there's some alcohol in here, or scissors. Yeah, a pair of scissors, quarter of a pair of scissors. I thought there was a bow up there. There's also there should be a notation coming on the screen soon. Oh, you know what? I'm gonna have to move it, but you will see the notation because I'll move the. I had some issues, but it'll be there. And I think in the cash register drawer there's some ammunition, which you don't want to miss that. Okay, so also, oh, sugar too. Oh, an explosive. So now we have enough to make one of everything, but obviously don't waste. I would say don't waste it on a smoke bomb and don't waste it on a med kit. So you want to craft everything right outside of here, because if you wait to craft, you'll have to craft it every single time, and there's nothing more demeaning than having to do that. So craft it right here. Make a Molotov so that you have two, the one we just crafted and the one we picked up earlier in the last video, and then the nail bomb. And then you'll come over to the left, pick up a couple of arrows. Let's see, there's that was a rag, and that's an arrow. Unfortunately, just one arrow. But this is where the true fucking hell begins over here. We're gonna have one enemy over to the right, one over to the left, so shoot him. Swap shoulders, shoot him. What I've found on these is do not hesitate on the arrows. The more you hesitate, the more you miss. So come over to this location. This is the wave that begins it. It's wave 1 of 2, and it's a very simple wave, unfortunately. So this guy comes over here not to investigate a fallen body because we've been silent heretofore, but he just comes over here and he happens to see the body. And then what I'm going to do is check one of those down there, and the enemies that are trying to get into the garage where Joel's kept, I've never got the failsafe for that. It's not increased in difficulty, so don't even make it a consideration while you're playing. Just ignore it, because as long as you can do this within a few minutes, like, I've never had the fail state. Okay, so there's the guy with the Molotov. Okay, so at this point we have the two guys downstairs banging on the door, whom I told you to not prioritize for good reason. And then we'll also have another guy coming up here. Now, I just favor this side of the building. If you want to go to the other side and acquaint yourself with it and get familiar with it and, you know, get comfortable, that's fine. Ellie does say a couple of things. She'll say "fuck it" when most of the enemies are killed. I think like 3/4 of the amount. She may have already said it, and she also says something else that I've left on screen as an annotation, and I'll just, you know, when that comes up, it will come up. So at this point, you know, I don't count how many enemies I kill when I do this. There comes a point when you kind of realize you know, with the accumulation of bodies, nobody can be possibly left, except you can probably hear in the background the enemies banging on the lock where Joel's being kept. So see, watch this. Body shots, 1, 2 body shots, and I wasted one over here. But one arrow would take care of those guys. And here it is. That's that, she says, when the final enemy is killed. So after this, you have as much time as you want to go around, to loot all the bodies, pick up all the arrows, and to do this. This is where the majority of the enemies are going to come out. So if you throw a nail bomb right in front of it, you will actually see the explosion and enemies. I don't know if you can see the enemies, but trust me, that's where they come out, and that's what we're going to greet them with. I've also tried to redo this campaign to see if I can get 2 of those, which I would have used in a different manner, but there is an arrow down here, some health over here. It says full, meaning I have full, so I can't pick any up. I've taken no damage. And okay, so take care of this guy. See to the left? The door opened, enemies got slaughtered, and now I'm going to come over here. Sometimes, this guy always jumps down here, but I should have thrown it a little bit faster to take care of him. If you want to, what I was talking about, you can have, you can make sure that one side of your little like metaphorical fortress down here is defended by putting one of the bombs over here.
Let's check downstairs. Let's check down there. Oh shit, we got infected.
What's going to happen is when there's like 1 or 2 enemies left in this last wave, what's going to happen is, I'm not sure where the clickers and the runners come from, but they will fight with the others. But if anybody sees you, you're completely screwed. And I've been screwed so many times down here by guys with shotguns, by runners. So unfortunately, this requires a little bit of luck that they don't come over here. And normally they don't, as long as you stay hidden. But even though as I say that, I've had enemies with a shotgun come down here right after me, as though they knew exactly where I was hiding. Also, I think earlier in the guide, I picked up some, like, one of those plus health packs, and it didn't say full like it said full a moment ago. That's because they don't start you with full HP. And also because in video 1, I used the medkit, you know the binding by pressing R2, excuse me. This is a new campaign, and I didn't use that medkit. So if there's any confusion, since the HUD is not available on this difficulty mode, just to clear that up, even though I was trying to fumble through it. And just suffice to say, there's 1 clicker left, and he's coming right down the escalator to greet me. I don't know if he knows where I am, but you have to kill everybody to proceed. But I did take that. Did do it no damage, and it is not easy. It was just a fluke that I took no damage. But try that. Try to do that. That is fucking hard. 4 hours later trying to do this, it's ridiculous without a checkpoint. You have to do everything over if you die, and it's just excruciating. Take care.
Better be alive, Joel.